Dear listeners, thank you for your incredible support in helping our channel grow. We're aiming for 1,000 subscribers, so please support us by subscribing and helping us reach this milestone. Now let's start the story. Flashback, Ben, undisclosed location. Jack pointed to a target on the map and suggested, "Okay, Ben, if you want one great target, how about this fuel dump?" I shook my head. Jack, that's a good target, but not a great target. Besides, it's too predictable, and with Mira and Ira chasing us, I don't think it's wise to be too predictable. He nodded his head. Yeah, you're right. I hate to think what would happen if they caught us. But man, was it fun seeing them on the motorcycles again. I think this damn truck of yours actually scared them. I replied, Jack, I'm not sure anything scares those two. You missed it, but we drove right between them. They were so close I could almost make out their faces under the black masks. Jack complained, damn Ben, don't you think it was dangerous getting that close to them? I grinned at Jack. Hell no. Did you forget my Franken truck is now armored? He answered, yeah, I did forget about that. Hey, here's some sort of storage facility. We could go after that. I looked, thought a bit, and answered, Jack, I don't like those either. Then I pointed to a target and said, Jack, I have a hell of an idea. Flashback, Mira and Ira, undisclosed location. We received yet one more annoying message from Israel demanding we cease and desist our hunt for the Harlequins. After cogitation, I constructed the perfect reply. I informed them of our encounter with the new secret weapon, codenamed Baskerville, and elaborated how it decimated 4 Soviet Hind helicopters, then disappeared in the midst of a whirlwind of smoke. I even included a brief and blurry photograph of Baskerville. I anxiously awaited their reply, removed the omnipresent sand from my undergarments, and queried, Ira, would you please help me remove the remaining vestiges of sand? She approached, smiled benignly, and scolded, Mira, if you exercised more care when applying your garments like I do, then you would not suffer this annoyance. I grinned benignly in return and countered, Ira, I wager a pedicure that you contain a similar quantity of sand in your undergarments. You, however, are more proficient at ignoring the granular issue. She shook her head negatively and responded, no, Mira, such would be a sucker's punch wager. Therefore, I will not accept. The truth was, prior to my Sergeant Blaine experience, the sand in my undergarments failed to annoy me. However, now when I envisioned his magnificent body, which was frequently, my nether regions dampened. Hence the sand became an abrasive annoyance in a delicate location. When the reply finally arrived, I vociferously agitated, Ira, they have the audacity to question if Baskerville was a mirage and demand more proof. Ira stated the obvious. Then Mira, we must provide them with pictures of the decimated helicopters and commence to track the beast. I agreed, certainly Ira. We will accomplish that if Baskerville shows up as we are pursuing the Harlequins. Ira complained, Mira, do not inform me, we are ignoring orders again. I giggled, certainly Ira, I will not so inform you then. Now to exact retribution from the Harlequins. Revenge is a saucer best served chilled. Flashback, Major M, Command and Control. I received a private communique from my Mossad friend and took it in my office. He questioned, Mike, do you have any experimental vehicles operating in our current theater of operations? I answered, Ari, why would you ask? He complained, Mike, stop being such a shit. I know you've had your satellites watching the area ever since your men stirred up the hornet's nest. We had a report that something destroyed 4 Hind helicopters. I questioned, I thought you recalled all your operatives? There was a pause, then he said, Mike, you know I told you we only had the twins in the TO, and we tried to recall them. This was becoming more interesting. I continued to pry loose more information. What do you mean tried? He ignored my question and countered, Mike, let's cut the BS, because if what the report says is true and it appears to be from the picture we have, then we might have a bigger problem. I inquired, Ari, you have a picture? I'd certainly like to see that. He offered, how about this? I'll send you my picture and the report, and you send me any information that you have. I smiled and agreed. Okay, Ari, I will have to declassify the picture, and then I will send it to you. Now about your operatives. He cut me off. I don't want to talk about those two. Then he hung up the phone. My email dinged. It was from Ari. I looked, and there was an attached file titled Baskerville.jpg. I opened it, and there was an even blurrier picture of the vehicle we'd seen, so it was worthless. I read the sanitized report and immediately realized it was from the Sedankina bitches, but also didn't tell me anything we didn't already know. I sat back in my chair and analyzed the phone conversation. So, the Sedankina bitches weren't listening to Ari anymore. I chuckled and wondered if Sergeant Blaine infected everyone with insubordination. I guess it didn't matter anymore, because I wasn't sure they were still alive. I started the process to declassify the picture, which basically destroys the resolution. Then my aide knocked and said, Sir, something strange is going on. I gave him a dirty look and questioned, Can't you be more specific? He shook his head. It would be better if you come and see for yourself. I walked out into the main room and immediately determined something was certainly going on. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. Mira blatantly ignored the orders to find Baskerville, and we proceeded to some storage buildings in hope it would be the Harlequin's next target. We assumed positions at the top of a dune and waited. Once again, Myra's mind wandered, and she initiated her infernal sand scribbling. Then she commenced to squirm and bitterly complained, "To Hades with this infernal sand." I tried to appease her as I offered, "Mira, is my assistance required?" Mira ignored my attempted ministration and instead caterwauled, "Ira, where are those female Seleucus? They should have arrived by now." I suggested the obvious, "Mira, perhaps this is too logical a target for them to consider?" She snapped, "Ira, this is not as logically dictated a target as the fuel dump, and there are no other targets of interest in the vicinity. Now stop being a Richard Cranium and commence to assist me." Once again I loathed Sergeant Blaine. He infected my sister Mira, and she had become as abrasive as the sand that she brayed about. Yes, her complaints were annoying, but worse was her disregard for orders since that behavior had commenced to cause problems. So instead of functioning as the finely lubricated precision machine we previously mimicked, Sergeant Blaine's infection represented the sand that abraded the mechanism of our missions. Again I questioned, "Mira, have you considered our direct orders to find and observe Baskerville?" Mira gave me a vicious look and muttered, "Ira, stop being a dud of fuddy." She was interrupted prior to completion of her comment by the chime of an arriving message. She observed it and stated, "Ira, I perceive the Harlequins have struck again, and it was not these storage buildings as we anticipated." I queried, "Mira, what was the target?" She paced and contemplated her answer. "This is most irrational of them. They attacked a prison. Why would they want to terminate prisoners? Quick, Ira, to our motorcycles, we still might be able to intercept them." At least with this distraction, Myra's moaning was terminated. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. Leave it to Ben to come up with a quirky as hell target. We roared toward the prison, which was lightly guarded, in a cloud of smoke and hail from our machine gun fire. I couldn't see shit because of the smoke, so I just fired toward the front of this damn Frankenmonster. There was a big crash, a few bumps, then Ben stopped, and I heard him laughing like hell. The smoke cleared and I asked, "What's so damn funny?" He continued, "Jack, the guards took one look at the Franken truck and beat feet toward the hills. Come on, let's free the prisoners." We grabbed our weapons, headed into the prison, and I immediately knew if we found any more damn prisons, they were going to be primary targets. The conditions were unbelievably bad. Layer upon layer of filth, disease, and, I shuddered, lice. I looked at some of the worst prisoners and asked Ben, "What the hell are we going to do with these guys? They can hardly move." Ben answered, "Jack, I sure as hell don't know. We can't really take them with us." A younger prisoner walked up and said, "Your approach in the devil vehicle frightened their families away. Once you leave, the families will return and remove them." Ben grinned at him and questioned, "Devil vehicle?" He replied, "Yes, that's what the guards called your truck when you approached. They yelled that it belched smoke like a demon from hell." I laughed and Ben asked, "So how would you and the prisoners that are in better shape like to get even for your treatment here?" His eyes lit up and he replied, "I have dreamed of avenging the death of my family every night I have been in here." I answered, "Then round up the rest of the prisoners and meet us outside because you're going to get your wish." We headed back to the Frankenmonster and waited. It wasn't long until a huge mob formed. At first I was worried, but they kept their distance from the truck and the young guy motioned to us. We jumped out of the truck, walked towards him, and I asked, "Why the hell is everyone staying so far away from us?" He bowed and said, "We did not want to approach too close to your demon truck." Ben laughed and I explained our plan to him and watched as his eyes sparkled. He turned and explained it to the mob, which immediately fired them the hell up. I looked at Ben and commented, "I think we're done here." Ben smiled. "Yeah, I would say we created another monster. Now it's time to get the hell out of Dodge before malodorous Major M sees us with his damn satellite." I laughed. "Hey, you're beginning to sound like Mira. But hell yes. Let's get out of here and find someplace to clean up." We jumped into the Frankenmonster. Ben fired it up. The crowd jumped back as we took off like a rocket. Flashback, Mira and Ira, undisclosed location. We proceeded post-haste toward the prison and perceived the smoke plumes prior to our arrival. Perhaps the luck of the lady smiled on us again, and we would again discover Baskerville. We brought our vehicles to a stop just shy of the crest of the final dune and proceeded on foot. I was shocked and remarked, "Ira, it appears as if the prisoners have been liberated." Ira responded, "Yes, Mira, our assumption that the Harlequins terminated the prisoners seems to be ill-conceived. We observed as family members relocated prisoners who needed assistance. Meanwhile, other prisoners continued to throw fuel on the raging fire which was once the prison. I presented a problem. Ira, The quantity of prisoners wreaking havoc on the prison is not sufficient to account for the entire prison population. She answered, yes, Mira, it is less than half the reported population. Perhaps the many vehicle tracks in the sand explain their absence. I observed the tracks and immediately determined they were all aimed in the same direction, so I queried, Ira, where's the map? Why are all the tracks directed toward one location? We oriented the map, oculated the direction of the tracks, and the target was immediately obvious. I looked at Ira and complained, Ira, this was a most diabolical and deviously devised, devastating diversion. Quick to our motorcycles. Perhaps we will not be too late this time to intercept the Harlequins. Flashback, Major M, Command and Control. I looked at my texts and commented, it looks like a prison break to me. But why are they all headed away in the same direction? Usually prisoners scatter when they escape. My text suggested, sir, it appears as if they have some goal in mind. Then I ordered, zoom out and let's see where they're headed. The camera zoomed out, I saw a complex and ordered, okay, let's get a better look at where they're headed. The camera zoomed out and I said, oh, now it makes sense. But how the hell did they escape and how the hell did they know a presidential palace was in that direction? Do we have any earlier video? My tech announced, no sir. We were only alerted to this after the prison was set on fire. I tapped the table and wondered. This sure as hell felt like something my SGTS would cook up. But if that's the case, then why haven't they contacted me? Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. I hated lice and cleaned the hell out of myself, changed clothes, and was relaxing as well as I could in the shade because it was damn hot. My mind drifted to the cold of Russia, vodka, and sexy as hell Russian women. Ben was actually trying to get a suntan, so I asked, are we ever going to contact the Major again? He turned, looked at me, and declared, screw the Major. And screw his little dog too. I noticed a remarkable change. Since Ben realized we had Ira, and especially Mira, on our butt, he'd lost any desire to leave this desert. I wondered if he realized just how dangerous a tightrope we were walking. The two of them were unstable as hell, and were just as likely to kill us as kiss us. I questioned, what about Russia? He shaded his eyes, glanced at me, and said, screw Russia too. I needed to think of some way to change his mind, but first I needed to buy some time. I said, I'm hungry and going to eat something. Ben jumped up and said, yes, so am I. Let me show you something that should make you happy. I followed Ben to the Frankenmonster. He popped the hood, took a shamak, grabbed a foil container, and handed it to me. It was hot as hell, so I dropped it and asked, what the hell is that? Ben used his shamak to hold his, unwrapped some of the foil, and said, that is dinner, burritos a la manifold. I ran, grabbed my shamak, picked up my burrito, unwrapped it, and took a bite. I exclaimed, damn, that's hot. Ben laughed, yeah, it's been on the manifold all day. I expanded, no hot as in spicy hot. Next time cut my hot sauce in half. Even as spicy as it was still great, and most of all it was hot. I was damn tired of eating cold rations. I added, this would be perfect if we had some beer to wash it down with. Ben gave me a funny look. As I started to say, what's? Ben shushed me. Jack, shut up and listen. Do you hear what I hear? I listened and said, after that damn noisy Frankenmonster I can't hear shit. Ben's eyes lit up, and he said, Jack, finish your burrito. Let's go have some fun. I wolfed down my burrito, jumped into Frankenmonster, strapped myself in, and wondered what the hell we were going to go do now. Present, Tom, on the way back to DI. I decide to continue my fun and tease. Jennifer, you should see how cute those two wives of Ben's are. Liz shushes me. Tom, Jens is asleep. I look in the rearview mirror, and she sure doesn't look like she's asleep. She looks like she's unconscious. What the hell? Present, Liz, on the way back to DI. I look over at Jens, and she seems like she is in a trance. I know immediately she is connected to Ben again. Unlike some others, I know she can connect to Ben. I am a reporter, and I did enough research on this to be totally confident of my knowledge. Tom, the scumsucker, wasn't going to let up about the two girls, so I shushed him. But I could tell from his eyes when he looked in the rearview mirror, he doesn't believe that Jens is asleep. Tough shit, he will get over it. I watch her carefully, and when she smiles I know it must be something good. Present, Jens, on the way back to DI. The elephants are charging us, and while Ben is reloading I fire the cool old double rifle I'm holding. Unfortunately Ben wakes up, and the nice dream is gone. I yawn, stretch, open my eyes and notice Liz is looking at me and smiling. Oh great, now I need to explain things to her. She smiles and whispers, from the way you were smiling, that had to be a good time with Ben. I blink a couple times and cautiously whisper a reply, you believe that I can connect with Ben? She smiles, holds my hand, and replies, I certainly do. I get all excited. Finally someone believes me, so I begin to whisper a description of my dream to her. Present, Liz, on the way back to DI. Jens finishes telling me about the great dream she and Ben shared. She described how they were elephant hunting in Africa. I look her in the eye and ask, Jens, do you realize what this dream means? She bites her lower lip and replies, well, I hope it means he still loves me, but I'm not really sure that's the truth. I nod my head and offer assurance. Jens, I'm not an expert on dream analysis, but from knowing Ben as I do, I would say that was the dream of a lifetime for him. Jens smiles and agrees. Liz, that was the dream of a lifetime for me too. Elephant hunting beside Ben. It just doesn't get any better than that. I smile and state, yes, and you two were together. Jens, Ben still dreams about having a perfect life together with you. She becomes very excited and begins hugging me when the car swerves and we hear, present, Tom, on the way back to DI. Jennifer finally wakes up, if she was really sleeping. Then she and Liz begin whispering in the back seat. I can't hear very well, but it seems like they are discussing something really important. I concentrate to try to hear them better, but I can't. Then Jennifer gets really excited, and the two of them begin to hug. It's distracting as hell, in a sick way. I look back at the road, find I'm in the wrong lane, so I swerve quickly back into my lane and yell, hey, you two, cut it the hell out. Liz barks an order, Tom, I've had my fill of your driving. Pull over before you kill both of us. I reply, fine. I'd rather ride with Matt and Jim anyway since there's way too much estrogen in this car. I pull over, jump out of the car, and walk back to our other car. Present, Matt and Jim, on the way back to DI. We watch Tom's car swerve like crazy and pull over to the side of the road. Then Tom gets out and walks back toward us. I remark, Jim, there's no way in hell I'm letting Tom drive. Jim answers, shit, if he decides to drive then I'm walking. I openly ponder, so Jim, do we work for Jens or Tom? Jim simply says, Matt, Jens signs my paycheck, so when she's around I work for her, but Tom deserves our respect. Thankfully Tom jumps in the back and I respectfully ask, sir, were there some problems? He complains, what's all this SIR bullshit? I was never an officer. Now leave me alone and let me think. I glance at Jim. He smiles and we both snap out a hearty, yes SIR. Present, Liz, on the way back to DI. Jens declares, good, now that Tom's gone I want to drive. I head her off quickly. Jens, you just got out of the hospital, so I'm driving. I take control of the driver's seat before Jens has a chance to complain. I just begin thinking things are going to be fine when she asks, so Liz, now that Tom's gone, tell me more about these two girls. Shit, this is all I need. How in the hell can I explain to Jens about them? Present, Byron, DIA main terminal. I can't find those two girls anywhere, so finally I decide I need to ask someone about them even though I don't like it. I walk up to a TSA agent and ask, excuse me sir, but I am looking for two young ladies who are lost. He looks at me and says, can you be more specific? I describe the girls to him. He nods his head and says, we've been looking for you. We have some questions for you, so you need to come with me. He escorts me toward the back. Shit, I knew I shouldn't have asked him about the girls. Present, Maria, the C-130 at DI. I mention, Linus, I'm sorry you got sick, but I'm still confused about how it all happened. He looks at me and says, I don't know. We grabbed some of your sandwiches as we headed out the door on our mission. I smack my forehead then ask, don't tell me. The sandwich you ate was missing a bite? He nods. Yeah, that's right. How did you know? I explain my whole failed attempt to pull a prank on Tom. When I finish, Linus laughs and then describes his huge prank with the itching powder and the fake crabs. We both laugh, then Linus hugs the hell out of me, and I complain, Linus, how can you hold me? I'm a big mess and must smell terrible. He hugs me even tighter. It feels really good, especially when he says, Maria, I think you look beautiful, so don't worry about it. I do worry about it. So I answer, Linus, have you been drinking? Now let me up because I need to go and clean up. He lets go. I jump up, head toward the bathroom, and he asks, do you need someone to wash your back? I look around. Since we're the only ones on the C-130, I grin at him and say, give me about 5 minutes, and then come in. Present, Linus, the C-130 at DI. Damn, what a woman. Despite the rush of feelings, I need to have a big talk with her about Masha and Mira. I know she's been antagonistic toward them, and that's not going to fly. After I've finally filled in missing information about Masha, I realize just how dangerous she might be. Maria is lucky that Masha didn't kill her. Now that I've found a woman, I'm sure not going to let something happen to her. 5 minutes are up, so I head into the shower. Present, Mira, at DI. Alexei and I vacate the limousine and traverse toward the Reynolds family. I practically giggle when I observe the former Sergeant Reynolds as he comprehends my identity. He resembles a mouse that got caught in the cookie jar. We stop a safe distance short of them, and I remark, Jack, it is pleasant to view you again. I believe the last time I encountered you was when you accompanied Ben at the American Spy School. I control a facial smile, but inwardly giggle with glee, because his face crimsons through several shades as he answers, Mira, it's good to see you again. I could also tell by the timbre of his vocal enunciations he was not at all happy to see me. But then he continues, this is my wife Masha and our son Ivan. I focus my attention on Masha and once again control my mirth. She looks like a feline trapped in a room full of oscillating chairs. Her eyes are pleading, and I decide to exercise mercy, so I reply, Masha, it is a pleasure to meet you. I watch as relief spreads across her and Jack's faces as she replies, Mira, the joy is all ours. Then something unexpected happens. Present, Ben, at the bunker. I finish the chili, let out a loud burp and compliment the chef. That was damn tasty, I guess I'll keep you. Then I look around the room and add, but that damn monkey of yours is a dead sucker if I see him again. Now I need to take a couple of these cut shotgun shells out and see if they work. You want to come along? Present, Stacy, at the bunker. Yes, Ben is actually asking me to watch him and these weird shotgun shells. I half worry he's going to blow himself up with them. I look around the room and answer, Ben, I would love to, but I think I need to clean up the mess in this room. He waves his hand and says, you can do that later. Right now I want you to come because you might need to fire one of these in defense. Tactical training is more important than cleaning. Yippee skippy. Tactical training. I have a real need for tactical training, and his name is Guy. However, I control my excitement and say, well, first I at least need to put these dishes to soak in a sink. I grab everything, head toward the kitchen, and almost drop it all when Ben comments, Stacy, you're going to make someone a hell of a wife. I turn toward him and reply, thank you, Ben. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. Then I turn and head to the kitchen with the biggest smile on my face. Someone help? I'm going to make Ben the best damn wife in the world. He just doesn't know it. Yet. Present, Ben, at the bunker. I can't believe what I just said. What the hell is wrong with me? And why the hell would I ever say that to Stacy because she's just like one of the guys to me? Yeah, that's the problem. She is like one of the guys and we used to say that as a joke to each other all the time. However, I don't think she took it as a joke. Somehow I need to find a way to tell her she's just one of the guys to me, and after my major mistake it's going to be harder than ever. But I know what to do for right now. I grab the cut shells and the double-barrel shotgun, head into the kitchen and yell, Stacy, where are your damn weapons? She jumps up about 3 feet, drops the bowls which shatter, then she turns to me and spits. Present, Stacy, at the bunker. Ben almost scares the crap out of me after being so nice to me. I do make an even bigger mess that I know he will make me clean up, so I turn towards him and yell, you're damn lucky I don't have them right now, or I'd shoot your butt. I can tell right away that was precisely the worst thing to say as Ben's anger flares. Stacy, don't you ever threaten to shoot me again, or I will leave you're sorry, but here to play with that damn monkey of yours. Weapons are not play toys. Now get your damn weapons, and let's get outside. Present, Ben, at the bunker. I smile to myself as I head through the stable door. Mission accomplished. Now Stacy is back in her place. I'm going to bring Bo with me because I figure if that damn monkey shows up, Bo might just be able to help me kick his butt. That damn monkey. I never did care for him. He's more annoying than the horses. Shit, he's even more annoying, that Stacy. I chuckle at the thought as I enter the stables. Bo runs over to greet me, and I decide that he's not so annoying after all. He's sort of like a big dog. I scratch him behind the ears and say, we're headed outside to test these shotgun shells, and while we're out there, I want you to keep a lookout for the gorilla. If he shows up, we're going to test them on him. Bo nickers and nods his head. I really wonder if he can understand me, or if this is his normal reaction when I talk to him. I open the stable door, then I head outside with Bo. We hear Patches whinny, so Bo takes off back inside and leaves me alone. I begin to set up the targets against a berm. Present, Stacy, at the bunker. Ben is the most damn infuriating man I've ever met. I know what it is. Up until now, I've been able to use my feminine wiles to manipulate a man. And if that didn't work, there was always my body which never failed, until now. But Ben's impervious to all my plans, so much so sometimes I wonder if he's a eunuch or a monk. No, I remember the night we both got drunk. I could feel how excited he was with me, so he is definitely not a eunuch. But what is it with him? I dismiss the thought for now, start to gear up and realize Ben was once again correct. I should have had my weapons with me. I do a function check on my pistol, take an old-looking black rifle from the rack, perform a function check on it, and head out through the empty stables, making sure to lock the doors as I leave. I don't have to hunt for Ben because I hear a big boom and see him, and both horses are over beside the hill. He's firing at some targets. I announce, Ben, I'm coming toward you. He turns, looks at me, smiles, and my heart almost melts. He replies, Stacy, thanks for announcing yourself. You're learning. You're also just in time to see how these work. Follow me. I fall in beside him as we walk to the target, and I see a bunch of tiny holes all over the target. So I ask, I thought these were supposed to be powerful. Ben looks at me and starts his instruction. I wanted to show you what a normal shotgun shell does. You can see at 25 yards how the shot pattern is dispersed across the target. While this is great if you're trying to kill something like a bird, If you're trying to kill a tiger, all this would do is get him pissed off. I falter and fearfully question, what's this about a tiger? He replies, present, Ben, at the bunker. Shit. I messed up now and told Stacy of my concern. I look at her and explain, well, that's my best guess as to what killed Knacker. But it also might have been a large bear. I couldn't find any tracks because the ground was too hard. Her forehead wrinkles, and she says, Ben, perhaps we should just stay in the bunker until all these animals are gone. I try my best to gently remind her, Stacy, did you forget we aren't safe in the bunker anymore? I am planning on us leaving the bunker tomorrow. She gives me a dirty look and says, don't I get a say in this? I shake my head. Not this time you don't. The security at the bunker has been compromised, and even staying tonight isn't a very good idea. Now let's see what a few cut shells do to the target. Present, Stacy, at the bunker. We walk away from the target, and I remember my nightmare about the land of ODD. First lions, and now possible tigers or bears. I really wish we could just stay in the bunker forever. But once again, Ben's right. The scumsucker guy has my keys, and he could sneak into the bunker while we were asleep, and I never want what he did to me to happen again. The pain I still feel, both physically and emotionally, is a constant reminder of my folly. Ben begins to load the double-barrel shotgun, and I ask, why don't you use a pump-action shotgun? Ben looks at me, grins, and says, good question, Stacy. But with the case integrity of the shotgun shell compromised, trying to use a pump or auto-loading shotgun might not work. Sometimes they pull the shell in two, and we'd be left with a non-functional weapon. With that kind of problem, you'd end up having to manually load each shell into the chamber. With this old coach gun, I at least get 2 shots to start with, and no problems if the shell separates. I look at how close we are to the target and question, Ben, it seems like we're awful close to the targets. Please tell me you're not going to let a tiger or a bear get that close to us. He shakes his head. Unfortunately, I don't have a choice in this matter. 25 yards is the limit of range with these shells. That's where you come in. I expect you to use that rifle of yours to at least soften up whatever it is that killed Knacker. I blush as I confess, Ben, I've never had to kill anything. Ben interrupts, Stacy, in this case you're not going to kill it, at least not with that rifle. You're just going to soften it up and hopefully slow it up so I can kill it. You always describe us as a team. Well, it's time you hold up your end of the team. Now watch this. Bun pulls up the shotgun, fires 2 rounds, reloads, fires 2 more rounds, reloads, and fires 1 round into a big bucket. The bucket literally explodes and impressively throws water everywhere. He turns and says, let's see how I did. We walk up and I see 4 big holes in the target that are almost touching each other while Ben is searching around by the bucket. He comes back over and comments, it looks like this coach gun shoots just a little to the right, but not so badly those wouldn't be kill shots. Look at what happens when the cut shell hits something. He hands me a piece of plastic that looks like a flower with 4 petals. Then he explains, the cut shell goes in about 2 or 3 inches, then disperses all the pellets and opens up like this. It creates a hell of a nasty wound that should stop whatever I hit. I smile and wonder how the scumsucker guy is going to like it when I shoot him with several of these. Ben says, okay, now it's your turn. We head back to the place he fired from. He teaches me how the old shotgun works and says, go for it. I fire 2 shots. They hurt the hell out of my shoulder. I look at Ben and whine. This hurts. Can I stop? He orders, hell no. You need to fire 5 shots like I did. I reload, fire the next 3, and miss everything including the new bucket. Ben laughs and says, well, perhaps all the noise and dust will scare them away. I apologize. Sorry, but this gun really hurts my shoulder. Ben declares, you're damn lucky we don't have more shotgun shells, or I'd have you fire this weapon until you could hit with each shot. Now let's head back inside. As we walk up to the stable doors, Ben sees they are shut and says, Stacy, don't tell me you locked the doors. I'm worried, but decide to try to cheer him up and say, okay, I won't tell you that. He gives me a dirty look and says, well, thanks a hell of a lot. You locked us out of the bunker because I don't have my keys. I want to tell him that's his fault, but I know better, so I answer, sorry, Ben, I thought you had your keys. Ben looks at me and says, Stacy, give me your bra. I get a little excited and add, you want my panties too? He shakes his head, hell no. Get your mind out of the gutter. I want your bra so I can try to use the wire in it as a lockpick. I begin to open my shirt and Ben loudly complains, turn the hell around because I don't need to see that. I turn and wonder if he might be a eunuch as I remove my bra. Then I turn, throw it to him and say, that's about the least fun I've ever had taking off my bra. Then he shocks me when he says, look, Stacy, to me, you're just one of the guys. This is the final straw. Present, Ben, at the bunker. Shit, I might have screwed up with Stacy. I tell her she's one of the guys, which should be a compliment, but she starts crying and foolishly takes off running. I yell, Stacy, get your butt back here. She doesn't listen to me. This is all we need, so I take off after her. Present, Stacy, At the bunker. I can't believe it. I'm one of the guys. That's the worst thing Ben said to me, and I'm not going to take his abuse anymore. I'm angry as hell as I run into the woods to escape his abuse. I must be really fired up because I'm running faster than I've ever run before. I hear Ben yelling behind me, but there's no way in hell I'm stopping. One of the boys my butt. He will have to kiss my butt before I go back with him. I run around a bend in the trail, and oh hell no. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. We were trail on the hot in pursuit of the Harlequins who had freed the prisoners and then diabolically exploited them to perpetrate an assault on a presidential palace. In retrospect, it was merely logical that they would assist the prisoners. We were pursuing the multitudinous tracks in the sand and were virtually flying over the dunes. But somehow my feminine senses determined that something was not entirely correct. I glanced at Mira and confirmed she was focused to an extreme on the hand at task. I, being her twin sister, could also ascertain she was oblivious to anything other than encircling the Harlequins. Her focus was commendable, but her subject was self-destructive, so I veered my motorcycle toward hers. My tactic attracted her attention. I delivered the appropriate hand signals instructing her to increase her situational awareness, and she, in turn, delivered to me an inappropriate digit, an action which intensely inflamed and infuriated me. I will teach her little red wagon. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. We jumped into the Frankenmonster. Ben took off like his, but was on fire, and he was driving like a bat out of hell. At least we were in stealth mode, so we could talk. I asked, just what the hell are we doing? He looked at me and grinned. Just sit back and leave the driving to me. We're going to have some fun. Even in stealth mode, the engine sounded like it was going to explode. I questioned, so you took the governor off this engine and you're over-revving it. Aren't you worried you're going to throw a rod or something? Ben answered, listen closely, Jack, and tell me what you hear. I listened and heard the engine as it started to burble. Then Ben upshifted and explained, that sound was the valves floating, so I'm not worried about throwing a rod. But I suppose I could crack a valve spring. Hot damn. I finally see them. I looked forward and asked, Ben, have you totally lost it? He laughed. Hell no, Jack, just watch. Things will be fine. I did watch, but I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. I determined it was Mira and Ira on their motorcycles in front of us, and they swerved toward each other like crazy. I swore any moment one of them would run into the other, and as we got closer I could see them each taking turns giving each other the bird and laughed. Damn, Ben. It looks like we're right in the middle of a Mira and Ira cat fight. Flashback, Mira and Ira, undisclosed location. My sister Ira was being an annoying female Saluki. She almost impacted my motorcycle with hers, so I displayed my displeasure with an inappropriate digit signal, which angered her, and now she was incompetently trying to render my motorcycle inoperable. Now I will compel her to admit I am the superior rider. We played a dangerous game of feline and rodent interspersed with the occasional displays of inappropriate digital extremities. Flashback, Major M, Command and Control. We watched as two motorcycles begin to chase the escaped prisoners. At first they seemed to be making good time, but then they began driving like they were drunk. One of the technicians remarked, Sir, it looks like they are trying to run into each other. I'm pretty sure it was the Sedankina bitches and wondered what the hell was going on between the two of them. Then I ordered, zoom in on that cloud chasing the motorcycles, but keep the motorcycles in the picture. I was fascinated as I watched the mystery vehicle. For lack of a better name, I will call it what the Israelis called it, Baskerville. As it rapidly gained on the Sedankina bitches and questioned, do we have a velocity on Baskerville? My tech asked, is that the code name for the unidentified vehicle? I testily replied, hell yes. Now do you have the current velocity of that damn vehicle? He replied, Baskerville's velocity is. He faltered and I asked again, yes. What's the damn velocity? He replied, sir, I wanted to double check. Baskerville's velocity is 96 kilometers per hour, 60 miles per hour. I thought, that's pretty damn fast for a vehicle in the open desert, but not to an extent that it concerned me. Shit, an M1 Abrams could almost hang with it. We watched as it continued to gain on the motorcycles. I was sure the Sedankina bitches were distracted and didn't know they were being chased. It should prove interesting when they finally figured out they were being pursued. I personally hoped Baskerville ran both of them the hell over. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. Ben had switched on the smoke screen and I asked, so what are your plans? He grinned and said, I'm going to scare the hell out of both of them and then leave them eating our dust. I questioned, Ben, I know the Frankenmonster is fast, but you really don't think you're faster than their dirt bikes. He laughed like a maniac. Jack, they won't the hell know what happened. We kept gaining on them. Ben reached over, fired up the music player, and I plugged my ears as he took Frankenmonster out of stealth mode. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. Suddenly we were assaulted by an extreme cacophony of noise and music behind us. If I was not mistaken, the music was Ride of the Valkyries by Wagner. Think of the song from Apocalypse Now. I turned and perceived that we were being vociferously pursued by the Hades hound, Baskerville. Mira comprehended identically, so we accelerated to the maximum safe speed in hopes of outrunning our adversary. However, Baskerville continued its onslaught and gained on our position. Accordingly, we began evasive maneuvers. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. While that certainly got Mira and Ira's attention, they kicked the dirt bikes up a couple of notches, and I was even more amazed when Ben did the same and continued to gain on them. It made me wonder exactly what Ben did to this damn truck. If he can make this truck do this, I wanted him to work on my car if we ever get the hell out of here. Then Ben yelled, "Jack, hold on tight." Mira and Ira started turning and weaving, trying to shake us, and I don't know how Ben did it. But we stayed with them the whole damn time and still gained on them. I complained, "Damn Ben, you're making me sick." He yelled, "Don't you dare puke in my Franken truck or you will clean it up." It felt just like the time I rode rear seat in an F-15 and the pilot did his best to make me puke. Only this was worse because I just wolfed down that manifold burrito. I held on for dear life and fought the urge to toss my cookies. We were right on their sixes now, and I could tell from their perfect and lovely butts that it was indeed Mira and Ira. I got excited and yelled, "Hell yes. Run their butts over." Ben scolded, "Jack, that's not the plan. Just make sure you hang on tight and don't puke." Good, it's about time Mira and Ira did that. I watched as we. Flashback, Mira and Ira, undisclosed location. We attempted everything to lose the Hades hound, Baskerville, but it was as if it possessed previous knowledge of the direction we would locomotivate. The specter gained on us until we could smell its smoky breath. I glanced at Ira, performed a subtle hand signal. She nodded her head, and I began my count. Upon expiration of the readiness period, I turned left and Ira turned right while we both slowed. Baskerville continued between us. I again glanced at Ira, and we both accelerated together. Now we were the pursuers and would teach this demon dog a lesson. Flashback, Major M, Command and Control. It was amazing watching Baskerville chase the Sedankana bitches. No matter which way they turned, it followed and gained on them almost as if it was being driven by a robot. It was right on their butts, and I thought it would run them over when they separated. It went right between them and kept moving, but now in a straight line. Then they started chasing it, and I inwardly swore because if they caught it, then the Israelis would have a huge find and I would have to kiss, but to get information about Baskerville. For about a minute they gained on Baskerville. Then the most amazing thing happened. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. I yelled, "Ben, Mira and Ira are gaining on us." He replied, "Jack, hold on to your butt, because we're going for a ride." I watched as he reached over, flipped a switch on the dash, put the Franken truck in neutral, and, oh my God. Flashback, Major M, Command and Control. I yelled at my techs, "Where the hell did Baskerville go?" They exclaimed, "Sir, it accelerated off the edge of the screen and we lost it." I ordered, "We'll find it, damn it. What the hell sort of vehicle can accelerate like that?" Flashback, Mira and Ira, undisclosed location. We were gaining on Baskerville when smoke spewed from its rectal orifice, created a huge cloud of dust, and it left us like we were locomoting in reverse. I motioned to Ira, and we stopped. We removed our cranial carapaces, and I queried in amazement, "Ira, what just occurred?" Ira shook her head in disbelief. "Mira, I have no sense of certainty regarding what occurred, but our motorcycles are no match for Baskerville." I sniffed the atmosphere and remarked, "Do you smell that?" Ira smiled, "Of course, Mira. That explains the sudden acceleration. However, it does not explain how one could operate a vehicle at such speeds." I surmised, perhaps it is controlled by an artificial intelligence? Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. I was pressed back in my seat. It felt like the skin was being peeled off my face as we reached some obscene speed. The desert flashed by until it became a blur. We hurtled across the desert like an out-of-control runaway train. I tried to yell, but my tongue was pressed back in my throat. Somehow Ben kept control of this beast, which I was sure only touched the ground about every 10 feet or so. Finally, we began to slow, and I noticed a huge ravine. I yelled, "Ben, there's a ravine ahead of us. Turn this damn thing." He yelled back, "I can't, Jack, we're going too fast." I yelled, "Then hit the brakes." He answered, "It won't do any good. Just hang the hell on, because we're going to jump this scumsucker." I said every damn prayer I knew and made up a few new ones. As we approached the edge of the ravine, Ben flipped another switch, and we took off. Present, Liz, on the way back to DI. After Tom left the car, Jens asks the dreaded question I've been hoping to avoid. "So Liz, now that Tom's gone, tell me more about these two girls." I try to casually mention, "Oh Jens, you know they're just a couple of teenage girls." She wrinkles her forehead and growls, Liz, you should know better than to try to lie to me. Now spill the beans. I take a deep breath and start. Well, Yints, they are as bratty a couple of teenagers as I have ever met. Oh, the older one, Zarika, isn't that bad, but the younger one, Yasmin, is a piece of work. She's learned all her English from watching music videos, but has not learned the appropriate use of the language. She seems to delight in upsetting Zarika, and then they get in serious brawls, not like the cat fights most girls have. Yints thinks for a moment and questions. Okay, Liz, they sound like they are pains in the butt. But you didn't mention anything about Ben and the whole wife issue that Tom brought up. Shit, I was hoping to avoid that. I reluctantly continue. Well, Yints, I don't have all the details, but as nearly as I can tell, for some crazy reason, they both think Ben is going to marry them. I worry about Yints' response until I hear. Present. Yints, on the way back to DI. Liz finally gets to the dirt about the girls, and when she tells me they think Ben's going to marry them, I begin to laugh. Then I ask, don't they realize they are both too young to get married in this country? Liz looks relieved and comments, Yints, I was worried you'd fly off the handle about it. But they are constantly fighting with each other over who will be Ben's first wife. I laugh and say, well, they're going to have to realize that I am going to be not only Ben's first wife, but his only wife. Liz softly states, Yints, I think you're underestimating the problem. They will see you as their main rival and are going to give you hell. If I were you, I would just ship them off to boarding school somewhere, because you and Ben certainly don't need this sort of problem. I think for a moment, decide I really like the idea, but then I remember an obligation and reply, Liz, your idea is great, but there's only one problem. Ages ago, when Ben first told me about the girls, he made me promise that I wouldn't ship them off to a boarding school. Liz sums it up. Well, Yints, then I would say you're well and truly screwed. I laugh and reply, no, I would argue that Zarika and Yasmin are screwed because I have a plan. Liz asks, oh really? Pray tell, what has your diabolical mind come up with this time? I confide in Liz and she laughs. Yints, you are truly diabolical and very possibly evil. I simply state my old motto, mess with the best. Liz interrupts with, and die like the rest. Remind me never to get you pissed at me. Present. Tom, on the way back to DI. Matt and Jim both insult me by calling me sir. Just what is it will all this sir bullshit? I command, if you two want to pull over, we can settle this like men. They glance at each other and answer, no sir. We'd hate to hurt you. I lightly threaten, laugh it up you two comedians, but don't quit your day jobs. Just remember, revenge is a dish best served cold, and I might be old, but I'm much more devious than either of you. They break out in laughter, and I demand, just what the hell is so funny about that? Present. Matt and Jim, on the way back to DI. Tom breaks both of us up with his threat of revenge, and then asks what we are laughing about. I finally catch my breath and reply, well, sir, we both spent time with the world's two greatest pranksters, so we have no concern about what you can do. Tom questions, and just who are these supposed experts? Jim answers quickly, Ben and Jack. When those two are together, you have to be on your guard all the time, because Jack has all the experience, and Ben has a truly warped way of thinking. You never know what's coming next. I add, yeah, Matt, remember the time they rigged all the toilet lids to salute the general? Jim laughs, and then when he sat down to shit, they damn near electrocuted him. We crack up laughing and Tom complains, those two sound like amateurs. Now if you want to hear about a real prank, let me tell you about the time. Jim interrupts, or what about when they put snakes in all the women's bunks? I laugh, yeah, the women were so pissed. If they had found out who did it, they would have killed them. Tom again tries to break in, but there was this time. I interrupt, what about those damn sonic crickets Ben makes? Jim answers, yeah, the random chirps those things make will drive you crazy. Remember when the old man had his whole office emptied but never did find it? I laugh, yeah, Ben hid it in the ceiling. Tom yells, you two are a-holes. Now stop calling me sir, and let me catch some shut-eye. I look at Jim, but this time Jim shakes his head no. Yeah, I guess we did push the old fart a bit far, and I sure as hell don't want to give him a heart attack. Jim says, damn Matt, I miss those days. I miss the core. I nod my head, yeah Jim, so do I. It might have been different if we had been wounded or something. But to be forced out the way we were just wasn't right. Jim says, yeah, but helping Yints was sure the right thing to do. I still can't believe what Ben's done to her. But after all he's done, she's still loyal to him. She's one hell of a woman. I add, and Ben sure the hell doesn't deserve her. Jim laughs, but he's sure going to deserve the butt kicking she's going to give him when she catches him. I nod my head and agree, yeah, now that I would pay to see. Present. Byron, DIA main terminal. I am getting the 3rd degree from the Homeland Security. Now, what can you tell me about how these two girls entered the country? I look at the agent and wisely answer, sir, I don't know anything about this, and I request to see my lawyer. He looks at me and threatens, well, you must know something about them, otherwise you wouldn't have been asking about them. And because you're being held on terror charges, we don't need to provide you with a lawyer. Damn, Once again, the feds are using the Terror Act to illegally detain someone. I wonder if America really knows how much freedom we've given up in the false belief that we are being kept safe from terrors. I smile but don't say a word. He glares at me and extends the threat. Listen, you're in big trouble, so you'd better start talking. I'm thinking, no, I'm in really big trouble, and those two brats are going to get a good spanking if we ever get out of here. Present, Linus, the C-130 at DI. Maria and I are getting busy in the shower when someone starts knocking on the door, then announces, listen, whoever's in the shower, you've got 5 minutes to vacate before we leave. Maria yells, shit, Linus. Sorry, I guess this will have to wait until later. I grab her around the waist and say, hell no, haven't you ever heard of a quickie? Present, Maria, the C-130 at DI. Linus gives me a hell of a quickie. We throw on our clothes, open the door, and one of the doctors yells, what the hell were you two doing in there? We head toward the aircraft ramp, and I yell over my shoulder, my man was giving me a quickie. Then I laugh as Linus turns 5 shades of red. Present, Jack, at DI. Wow, I really dodged a bullet. Mira and Masha finally meet, but Mira is kind and doesn't let on that she and I were once intimate. Masha is jealous as hell, and I sure as hell don't want her fighting with Mira because she'd get her butt kicked. Present, Masha, at DI. My husband and son give me a wonderful greeting, and I hope the situation will continue to work smoothly between us. Then a limousine drives up and Miranda and a boy exit and walk toward us. This is all I need. If Jack finds out about Miranda and our mutual occupation, then my duck is cooked. Thankfully, Miranda acts as if she doesn't know me. Then the most amazing thing happens. Ivan runs over, hugs the boy, and loudly announces, my brother. I worry at first, but then the boy hugs him back and answers, my little brother. Present, Mira, at DI. Yes, the most amazing thing happens. Ivan, Masha, and Jack's son, bonds with Alexei. Alexei relocates to terra firma as Ivan assumes a primary position in his lap, and they commence to converse. Masha questions me, Mira, who is this boy? I reply, he is my brother and now my only living relative. Jack awkwardly attempts condolences. Yes, we are sorry about Ira. I respond, she died an honorable warrior's death and provided an escape for us. Now we must live an honorable life in her memory. 2 vehicles approach and I command, Alexei, rise and please stand behind me. Ivan complains as he loses his position when Alexei rises. Then Masha takes him and we observe the vehicle stop. The doors on the first vehicle open and Ms. Morgan and Ms. Donaldson exit. The second vehicle contains Matt, Jim, and Tom. I comprehend a noise behind us and determine that Maria and Linus are approaching while the C-130 begins to start its engines. I move sideways so I can see both groups as they approach, and Alexei maintains his position behind me. The motives of the 2 groups are not within my grasp, so I quickly reach into my purse. I notice from a sideways glance as Masha gives me a hand signal, which tells me to relax. Ms. Donaldson walks up and says, present, Jens, at DI. Damn, it's good to see everyone. Well, almost everyone. I do recognize the bitch from the spy school that tried to assault Ben, so I will need to keep my eye on her. I command, well, it looks like everyone's here, so let's get to the cabin before something else happens. Tom interrupts, excuse me, Jennifer, but we're missing 3 people. Where's Byron and Ben's 2 young wives? I grin at him and answer, Tom, you can't get my goat, so cut out the wives crap. But you are right. Where's Byron and these 2 girls I keep hearing about? We all look at each other, but no one seems to know. Present, Stacy, in the woods. I am so angry at Ben for describing me as one of the boys that I begin running down the trail. I was doing fine until I turn the corner and come face to face with a tiger. What sort of crazy zoo has Texas become? I freeze. The tiger looks at me, licks its chops, and snarls. I slowly raise my rifle and begin to slowly walk backwards. I then hear Ben advise, Stacy, freeze and don't move. If you back up, the tiger will charge us. Then I realize Ben's right beside me, and he has the shotgun pointed right at the tiger. I say, Ben, what are you waiting for? Shoot the tiger. Ben says, I'm waiting for you to get your rifle to your shoulder. I continue bringing up my rifle. It's almost to my shoulder when Bo and Patches charge right past us heading toward the tiger. It takes one look at them and runs away. Ben swears, damn it all. I was just getting ready to fire. I smile and say, and now you don't have to. Bo and Patches run up to us, and I swear they have a happy look on their faces. I begin telling Patches what a good horse she is and suggest, Ben, Bo thought he was doing the right thing, so you need to praise him for it. Ben does a half-hearted job praising Bo. Then Bo does the funniest thing, and I almost fall down laughing. Present, Ben, in the woods. I'm mentally mimicking a silly sing-song voice. Ben, Bo thought he was doing the right thing, so you need to praise him for it. This damn hay burner is as unpredictable as a woman. Yeah, that's it. He's either a big help or a huge hindrance. just like Stacy. I stroke Bo's neck and say, thanks a lot, you big lug. Then the damn horse, I don't know if he understood me, steals my hat again. I yell, give me my damn hat. You're getting horse slobber all over it. And Stacy laughs so hard she can barely stand. I get ready to yell again when Bo drops the hat. His and Patch's ears go up and the hair on the back of my neck stands up. I whisper, Stacy, something's going on. She snaps right out of her laughing fit, looks at the horses who are more than a little uncomfortable, and says, Ben, you're right. Something has the horses skittish. I suggest, well, I don't know about you, but I sure as hell don't want to wait around right now and see what the hell it is. Let's get back to the bunker and regroup. She answers, yes, I would feel safer back at the bunker. Present, Stacy, in the woods. The horses sure don't like something, and I think they've been looking in the direction of the bunker. Ben orders, okay, we're headed back to the bunker. Stacy, make sure you keep your essay up without being distracted. I will take point. Watch for my hand signals. I ask, what about the horses? Ben answers, well, they sure as hell don't know anything about walking in formation, so I hope they just stay out of our way. Now sport, slap, pull, observe, release, and tap your weapon. I sport my rifle and say, I'm ready. I make sure to keep my rifle in high ready position, and we carefully return to the bunker. The closer we get to the bunker, the more nervous the horses are getting. Present, Ben, in the woods. The closer we get to the bunker, the worse my hair is standing up, and the more nervous Bo is getting. I sure as hell don't like it, and I like it even less that we are locked out of the bunker. It might take me several hours to pick the lock using an improvised lock pick from the wire in Stacy's bra, and we will be vulnerable the whole time. I'm pissed at myself. If I had my tactical vest, I would have my bump keys with me, and we'd be in about 30 seconds. But when I switched to this 6-gun rig, I haven't had time to set up my tactical vest for it. We reach the edge of the clearing, and shit. Present, Guy Fawkes. I have myself some unfinished bizzo, and her name is Stacy Summers. Oh, I had my way with her parents, and her mom wasn't half not so bonza, and lasted much longer than I thought she would. Her old man begged and offered me his old lady if I would just let him go. I laughed and made sure he watched the beaut I had with her. Then I went to yakko on him. He was a pussy and didn't last nearly long enough. So I took all the money they had, their credit cards, and their nice as hell Mercedes. After all, they weren't going to need any material goods anymore. But I want to finish what I started with their daughter before that big buffoon chased me off. So I headed back to the bunker in the Mercedes, parked a bonza distance away, and sat on my coit and watched things. I wanted to catch them away from the bunker because I had a set of keys and could sneak in and wait for them. I was going to knock the big buffoon out and make him watch me finish the Stacy bitch before I finished him. Finally, something happens. Present, Stacy, in the woods. Ben motions me forward, so I slowly crawl up beside him and whisper, what's wrong? Ben whispers, look at the bunker. The doors are wide open. I defend myself. Well, you know I locked them because you already yelled at me about it. Ben replies, well, either someone picked the lock or that fat dope smoking guy came back. I remember the cut shotgun shells and hope it's the later. I ask, so what are we going to do? Ben says, well, we're going to sit, wait, and watch. He turns to Bo and orders, you two take off, but don't go too far away in case we need you. Bo and Patches turn and slowly and silently leave as I marvel at how Ben seems to be able to communicate with Bo. Why the hell can't he communicate with me like that? I hate waiting. I'm bored as hell, drift off to sleep, and have a hell of a nice dream about spending the rest of my life with Ben in our bunker. He makes soft, gentle love to me all the time. I don't know how long I've been sleeping when Ben says, Stacy, wake up and don't move a muscle. I wake up, half expect and hope to see Guy because we have some unfinished business, and I'm shocked as hell when I see. Present, Ben, in the woods. A squad of men exits the bunker. I wake Stacy and she asks, are those banditos in our love nest? I say love nest. Stacy, what the hell are you talking about? And I wish those were banditos. No, that's a trained squad of men, and from their uniforms, I would say they are IDF. She questions, IDF? What's that? I reply, Israeli Defense Force, and they're our worst nightmare. But what the hell are they doing in Texas? I complain, Ben, I have a cramp in my leg and need to move. Ben says, Stacy, these guys are experts and have perimeter guards in the trees. If you move at all, they will see us, and then our goose is cooked. She asks, do you think they're after us? I reply, I sure as hell don't want to find out. Now stay still. Yeah, I wonder what the hell IDF was doing in Texas, especially since they look to be possibly Mossad. Now that would be interesting, Mossad operating in Texas. Thank God Stacy listens to me and doesn't move because we're a bit more exposed than I would like. We continue watching when Stacy says, Ben, is that a woman and a man in a wheelchair? I whisper, yeah, and look what's driving up. It's a damn good thing you didn't move because this is some sort of paramilitary news team from the Truth Network, and I bet they are looking for us. Present, Samantha, at the bunker. Damn it all. We track down the bunker we think Ben and Stacy were using. Then the guys go in to keep me and Frank safe. One of them picks the lock and the bunker is empty. But we find a bunch of evidence that a man and a woman were in the bunker, and from the looks of things one or both of them are, or were hurt. We collect some of the bandages for analysis, then I step outside the bunker, pull out my mobile phone, and call Liz. She answers, "Sam, what do you need?" I reply, "Liz, we tracked down what appears to be the bunker Ben and Stacy were using, but unfortunately, it looks like we just missed them." Liz requests, "Sam, take a bunch of video of the place anyway and send it to the network. We might be able to use it to our advantage." I reply, "Liz, I'm one step ahead of you on this. It will be on its way when the news van gets here." Liz answers, "Damn, you're good. So do you have any idea how they're traveling?" I reply, "Believe it or not, we think they're on horseback." Liz remarks, "Well, then you might be able to catch them. They can't have gone very far." I answer, "Liz, unfortunately the terrain around here is too rugged for travel by even a Jeep, let alone our news van. Horseback is probably the best way to travel in this area if you don't want to use roads." Liz says, "Sam, I'm going to see if we can get a chopper down there to help find them." I inform her, "Lots of luck on that, Liz. Most of them have moved pretty far away, and since the banditos seem to have a lot of RPGs and like to shoot down choppers, I don't think you're going to have much luck." Liz begins to say something. Then it sounds like all hell breaks loose in the woods. I yell into the phone, "Liz, something's going on, and I need to go. Present, Guy Fawkes, in the woods." I'm lucky as hell I wasn't in the bunker because I observe a team of commandos slip up to the bunker, and they are very bonza. One of them picks the lock, then a news van drives up, and a Sheila and some guy in a wheelchair get out of the van and go into the bunker. I figure they must be looking for the Stacy bitch like I am. Oh well, at least them did part of my job for me and made sure the bunker was empty. I sit back on my coit, veg out and light up a bowl. I will wait until they bail, then slip down into the bunker myself and wait for Stacy and the buffoon. I just get a nice comfortable buzz going when all hell breaks loose. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. We traversed the desert on our motorcycles and arrested forward progress at the edge of a great chasm where Baskerville's tracks terminated. As we removed our cranial carapaces, I digitally illustrated with my hand and remarked, "Mira, it appears that Baskerville cleared this chasm with ease." She answered, "Yes, Ira, but then with its method of locomotion that is not entirely surprising. What is surprising is that Baskerville did not self-terminate upon impact after its flight." I informed Mira of our duty. We must contact Israel immediately and notify them of this current discovery. Mira argued, "Ira, you may contact our benefactors, however, I am pursuing the prisoners. Perhaps the Harlequins are still aiding them." I wanted to confront my sister, but in this case, she evaluated our situation correctly. I did not wish to report the terrible insult Baskerville delivered us with its escape and had hopes that if we located and terminated the Harlequins, things would appear more fortuitous for our team. Flashback, Major M, Command and Control. Our satellite followed the two motorcycles to the edge of a canyon where they stopped. My text said, "Sir, from the track, it appears Baskerville jumped the canyon." I looked at the canyon and didn't immediately believe it, so I asked, "Just how far did that damn vehicle jump?" My tech answered, "Sir, the distance they jumped was 79 meters. I did a quick conversion. Shit, that was 259 feet. It didn't jump the canyon, it flew over the canyon." My tech announced, "Sir, since we can't find Baskerville, would you like us to follow the motorcycles as they're now leaving?" I shook my head and dreaded the report I had to give the general. He was going to be more pissed than I was about losing this damn mystery vehicle again. I replied, "Yes, let's see what the motorcycles are doing." Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. I closed my eyes as I was pressed back into the seat again and made every promise I could think of to God. Things became eerily silent, and all I heard was the wind whistling by my ears. The next thing I knew, we hit the ground, and I was damn near ripped in two by my harness. I opened my eyes and became aware that somehow we had not only jumped the ravine, we had landed safely. I yelled at Ben, "If you ever do that again, I'm going to find some way to kick your butt." He didn't say anything, so I looked over. For the first time ever, his face was white, and I actually saw fear written across it. I asked Ben, "Are you okay?" He didn't answer or move. Shit, what was wrong with him now? At least he could still steer this damn Frankenmonster. We continued to roll. As we finally stopped, I reached over, shook Ben, but got no response. Shit, it was like he checked out of life or something. I knew we couldn't stay here, so I pried his hands off the wheel, pushed him over to my seat, took the driver's seat and hauled, but into the nearest small ravine. I jumped out of the Franken truck, threw the camo net over it, and noticed 4 of the 8 man pads which Ben had strapped to the back of this truck had been fired. No wonder we went so fast. We were on a rocket sled. Then I went back to see what the hell was going on with Ben. Flashback, catatonic Ben. I had survived high school, that is. I took everything the scumsuckers at the school threw at me, all that Dad did to me, and graduated. I wanted to get the hell out of Leadville as soon as I could, but there was only one problem, and he'd been a problem my whole life, Dad. Dad was sick as hell and had been for almost a year. Every day when I came home, he was a little worse. He was slowly slipping away. The once proud man that beat sense into me and had taught me in his own harsh and peculiar way to be a man had been reduced to a total invalid. The muscles had all wasted away, leaving only skin, bones, and the evil disposition. Oh yeah, the evil disposition survived and even thrived in Dad's current physical condition. He couldn't torture me physically, so he used every chance he had to verbally abuse me. It was so bad most nights I went to bed thinking of ways I could kill him, and I worried about how I was changing. What the hell sort of son thinks about ways to kill his dad? I don't know. Perhaps I was becoming as bad as my dad. After all, they say the nut doesn't fall far from the tree, and if there was ever a nutty tree, it was Dad. I walked into the house after graduation, and he started yelling right away. Hey shithead, did you finally come home? It's about time, because I have a surprise waiting for you. Yeah, I was still the shithead, and I knew what the surprise was. I needed to clean him up and change his bed because once again he'd shit in it. I put my diploma on the table, headed back to his room, and this time I was really surprised. Dad hadn't shit the bed, but somehow he'd found the energy to get up, put on his army uniform, which hung loosely around his frail body, and was sitting in the chair. I blinked my eyes because I couldn't believe it. He shouted, 10 hut. I snapped to attention like he'd trained me to do. He looked me up and down and said, Ben, I know I've been a son of a bitch to you, and I've treated you like hell. I started to interrupt, and he scolded me. Did I give you permission to talk? He continued. Now where was I? Oh yeah, I've been a scumsucker to you because I knew I wouldn't be around for you, and I needed to make sure you would be a strong man. Now tell me, did you graduate? I answered, yes, sir. My diploma is on the kitchen table. Would you like to see it? He weakly waved his hand and said, no, Ben, I raised you to not lie, and I know you're not lying now. Ben, I am finished. I made you into the best man I could, made sure you had a high school education, and my time is done. So I'm going to give you one last gift. I wondered what the hell he was talking about. He continued, you're going to help me to my bed, then you're going to hold a pillow over my face until I'm gone. I complained, Dad, there's no way in hell I'm going to do that. He cackled, oh come on now, I know you've wanted to kill me for years. I'm just giving you your wish, and you will fulfill the wish of a dying old man. I have made my peace, and I am ready. I started to complain, but he slipped the Colt revolver from under his Eisenhower jacket and said, look, I replaced the damn dum-dum rounds you like to put in here with real bullets while you were gone. Don't make me shoot you little shithead. Now be the man I've raised you to be and give me the death that I've been longing for. I reluctantly picked him up, lay him on the bed, looked into his eyes and said, Dad, please don't make me. He cackled, come on you cowardly son of a bitch, get it over with, and that's an order. I don't know how long I sat there and held his frail, lifeless body. He was finally gone forever, and with him was gone all hope of ever hearing those 3 words I'd always wanted to hear from him. Ben, wake up. Flashback, Ben, undisclosed location. What the hell? Those weren't the 3 words. I opened my eyes and it was Jack. He looked concerned and asked, what the hell happened to you? I rose to a sitting position and asked right back, Jack, where the hell are we? He answered, we're hiding out after you jumped the Frankenmonster over a big canyon. We landed on the other side, and other than steering the truck, you couldn't do anything. The only thing you kept doing was saying no, no, no. What the hell happened? I knew I couldn't tell Jack. Shit, this sort of thing you couldn't tell anyone. I replied, I don't know, Jack. I guess jumping the canyon freaked me out or something. He answered, yeah, that's what I thought, because when I opened my eyes you looked like you'd seen a ghost, sort of the way you do now. But damn, Ben, that had to be some sort of record jump. I'm damn proud of you. I smiled at Jack and said, thanks, Jack, is the Frankentruck okay? He replied, yeah, it seemed fine when I drove it into this ravine. By the way, there's no way in hell I'm riding in this truck with you again if you don't change the rockets, so only 1 fires at a time. 2 is too much, and I don't know how you could control it. I remembered my outings after Dad died in the Cobra. I drove the hell out of that car, and that was my training ground. I smiled at Jack and said, I guess I was just lucky. It was good as hell to hear Jack when he laughed, lucky my butt. I'd say you should be a race car driver. I grinned and questioned, are you hungry? His eyes gleamed, and he said, don't tell me you have more manifold burritos. I said, help me up and grab your shamak. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. Well, Ben seemed okay now, but a hell of a lot more went on than I told him about. There was this whole one-sided dialogue with his dad, the scumsucker, and now I understood more about my partner than ever. His dad made him kill him instead of being man enough to take his own life. No kid should ever have to do that. It's a wonder he's not more screwed up than he is. We walked to the front of the Frankenmonster. Ben opened the hood, grabbed a foil-wrapped burrito, and handed it to me. I took a bite and remarked, "Damn, this one is perfect for me. How did you get rid of the extra hot sauce?" Ben laughed, and it was great to hear him laugh. "Jack, the first one I spiced up a little just to get even for the shit you've given me lately." I gave him a shocked, innocent look. "I don't know what you're talking about." He grinned and said, "Exactly. The little scumsucker. Well, two can play these games." Present. Jens, at DI. "Damn, it's good to see everyone. Well, almost everyone. I recognize the bitch from the spy school who tried to assault Ben, so I will need to keep my eye on her." I command. "Well, it looks like everyone's here, so let's get to the cabin before something else happens." Tom interrupts. "Excuse me, Jennifer, but we're missing 3 people. Where are Byron and Ben's 2 wives?" I grin at him as I reply, "Tom, you can't get my goat, so cut out the wives crap. But you are right. Where are Byron and these 2 girls I keep hearing about?" We all look at each other, but no one knows. We're interrupted by Liz's phone ringing. As she steps off to the side to talk, I command, "Okay, Tom. He's your man, so you need to find him." Tom grins and counters, "And the girls are your Ben's wives, so you need to find them." Liz, having finished, walks up just in time to hear that, and she explains, "But Tom, your man was in charge of the girls, so they are your responsibility. Besides, I need Jens for something else. So why don't you make yourself useful instead of trying to get Jens all fired up?" Present. Tom, at DI. "Damn, I hate smart women." Liz is right. This is my responsibility. I look at Linus, but he grins and states, "Tom, I'm not going anywhere until you." Me and Maria sit down and have a long talk. Shit, I guess my plan backfired on me, so I look around, see Matt and Jim, and order, "Okay, you two, let's see if we can figure out where Byron and the girls went." Jim asks, "Hey Jens, is it okay if we help Tom?" Jens says, "Sure, just keep him out of my hair for a while." I complain, "Hey, what did I ever do to you?" Jens grins and starts counting. "Well, telling me the 2 girls are Ben's wives to start with. Do I need to keep going?" I shake my head and get on with the job. "Okay guys, let's fan out and see what we can find out." They both say, "Yes, SIR. Damn it all. If I didn't need their help, I'd kick their butts." Present. Liz, at DIA. I tell Jens about my call. That was a phone call from my ace reporter Sam. They found Ben's bunker. Jens gets very excited and asks, "Did they catch my runaway fiancée?" I answer, "I don't think so, but something did happen and she had to hang up the phone early. They do have a bunch of video of the bunker." Linus jumps in. "Perhaps we can get Masha to look at it. She really helped with the video that Stacy bitch sent Jens." I wasn't sure what he was talking about, but figured I could find out later. So I look at Masha and question, "Would you like to look at some video?" She blushes, which seems funny, and offers, if it would help to find Ben and if my husband would allow it, then yes. I look at Jack, and he says, "Shit, we've been all in on this from the start, so whatever we can do to help is great with me." I ask Bernie, "Will you help Masha get set up with the station so she can view the videos because I need to discuss some things with Jens in private?" He agrees. "Sure enough, Liz." Jack says, "I'm going to go get some food for Ivan and me, and we'll be back in about 30. Linus says, "You know, that sounds like a good idea. My stomach is feeling like my throat got cut. Do you mind if Maria and I join you?" Mira asks, "Ms. Morgan, if you do not require my immediate assistance, Alexei and I would also like to partake of some sustenance." I answer, "Please, Mira, feel free to go get some food. We should be fine here." Jack enthusiastically adds, "Great, the more the merrier." He gives Masha a big kiss and says, "Don't worry, my love, I will bring you some food." Then everyone leaves on the food hunting expedition. We're finally alone, and Jens asks, "Okay, Liz, what's so damn clandestine that it can't be discussed in front of everyone?" I answer, "Jens, I'm not sure you should see the videos." She gives me a funny look and asks, "Present. Jens, at DI. Liz, why the hell wouldn't I want to see the videos?" Liz replies, "Jens, he was there with Stacy Summers, and there might be things that upset you." She looks at me. I consider it for a few moments and assure her, "Liz, I'm pretty damn sure he hasn't slept with her, so I'm not concerned." Liz questions, "Jens, how can you be sure of that?" I reply, "Well, I know, with Masha's help, that he hadn't been to bed with her a couple of days ago, and also from a vision of him." I explain Stacy coming out of the bathroom in just her undies and Ben shooting the hell out of her with a paintball gun. Liz has a huge laughing fit, finally catches her breath, and says, "Yeah, Jens, I can actually imagine Ben doing something like that. But tell me more about what Masha did." I explain to her all about Masha's video analysis. Liz gets a faraway look in her eyes and answers, "Present. Liz, at DIA. Soccer mom, my butt. No soccer mom can do what Masha did. She has to be some sort of spy?" Then it all clicks in my mind. No wonder Mira was acting so strangely around Masha. She knows Masha by a previous association. I add with caution, "Jens, there's more to Masha than meets the eye." Jen grins and exclaims, though, "Look who's talking. The lady that has a spy for her bodyguard." I punch her arm for the insult, and ask, do you know Mira? Jens answers, damn Skippy I do. I almost shot her, but for trying to assault my Ben. Well, this is news for me, so I dig for more information. Okay, Jens, spill the beans. She finishes the involved story about Mira being with Ben at a covert spy school, culminating with her almost shooting Mira and then almost getting shot herself. I shake my head and question, Jens, I hope you don't think she's a danger? Jens laughs. Liz, I'd rather have her here where I can keep an eye on her. I nod my head, keep your friends close. Jens interrupts and finishes, and your enemies even closer. I question, do you think Jack knows about Masha? Jens thinks for a moment then laughs. Liz, get real, he's a man. We both laugh, and I say, I could use something to eat. How about we join the others? We join arms and walk toward the restaurant. It's great to be with my BFF again. Present, Maria, at DIA. I can't believe that Linus refused to help Tom until the three of us could talk. But to be truthful, I'm not at all sure I really want to work for Tom. I mean, I have my job with the princess boss that keeps me plenty busy and gives me just the right amount of excitement. Besides, I know I'd be a distraction and detriment to the team. But how can I tell Linus without insulting him? Present, Linus, at DIA. Yeah, I'm done working for Tom and the SIFs unless they can include Maria on our team. And I don't mean to make coffee or sandwiches. Shit, her being able to prank Tom with the coffee should be proof enough that she deserves a place on the team. While I can't condone her going into Masha's purse, she did put one over on Tom. That reminds me of something. Maria, and I move away from the others as I say, Maria, I need to talk to you about Masha and Mira. She immediately states, yeah, those two are certainly on my radar. I was afraid of that. So I continue, if I ask for a favor to cut both of them some slack and stay away from them, what would you say? She states, I would say that as long as I feel either of them is a threat to my princess boss, then I need to keep my eyes on them, and to be a buffer between them and Jens. I question, what about coming to work on Tom's team with me? Present, Maria, at DIA. Shit, I guess I do need to deal with this now. I reply, Linus, thanks for the offer, but I'm not going to join Tom's team. He looks hurt and threatens. Damn that scumsucker. I'm going to kick his butt so hard that he will whistle Dixie when he farts. I grab Linus' arm and explain, honey, it's not anything Tom did or said to me. I'm a big girl and put up with more shit in the army than I ever did from him. There are two reasons. First, I really like my job working for Jens, and second, she really needs me. He calms down but says, I'm still not sure I shouldn't kick his butt anyway. I redirect him. I would say that if anyone needs there, but kicked it's Ben. Linus agrees, that's a fact. So what are we doing after chow? I grin at him and say, oh, I'm sure we'll come up with something fun. Present, Tom, at DIA. Shit. I found out what happened to the girls in Byron. I guess the girls got a wild hair, headed off to the main terminal, and caused some problems. The TSA then picked them up and handed them off to Homeland Security. Byron went looking for them, asked about them, and Homeland Security has them too. Of all the rotten luck, prying those three away from the evil clutches of Homeland Security is going to be hell. I heard everyone went to the restaurant to eat, so I head inside to see if Liz or Jens could pull some strings and get them freed. The sight of the food reminds me how hungry I am, so I walk up to the table and say, thanks for including me in this soiree. Liz replies, well, you had a job to do. If you're finished, you can join us. I sit down, and as I lean toward the center of the table, everyone goes quiet, and I whisper, well, Homeland Security has the girls in Byron. I don't have any connections with them, so I was hoping either you, Liz, or Jennifer could get them free. Liz answers, shit. They always give me hell when I travel, so I won't be any help. Jennifer adds, don't look at me. I avoid them at all costs. I say, well then I guess we're. Mira interrupts. I do not suppose these documents would be of assistance? She holds up a pair of diplomatic passports and I ask, are those for the girls? She says, Tom, prove to me you have gray matter in your cranial cavity. Why would I offer diplomatic documents if they belong to another and would not assist in the rectification of your problem? I don't like her attitude, but I have to ask, well that takes care of the girls, but what about Byron? She grins like a damn Cheshire cat and says, Tom, the passports state the girls are my progeny. When I present the documents and my diplomatic passport to Homeland Security, I will inquire of their intention in detaining my husband and the father of my daughters. I will assertively mention my government's preparation to launch a complete investigation. Liz says, I guess we won't need these American passports for the girls. Mira answers, no, Ms. Morgan, please keep those passports because one can never have enough passports. Now I must retrieve my daughters and my husband. Come, Alexei, we have work to do. I blink, then I start to laugh. Oh boy, Byron's going to hate this because I'm never going to let him live this down. Present, Ben, in the woods. All hell breaks loose in the woods to the east of us. We hear a bunch of howling, grunting, and yelling. I sure as hell don't want to know what sort of animal is making all that racket. Stacy and I watch as the paramilitary news team takes off toward the noise. I look over at Stacy and say, let's move it. This might be our only chance to get into the bunker, grab the gear we need, and get the hell out of here before the news team comes back. We jump up, Bo and Patches run up, we swing up on their backs and hightail it to the bunker. Present, Stacy, in the woods. I think Ben forgot about my injuries because riding bareback on Patches hurts like hell. But Ben's right, and I'm sure as hell not going to complain. My things are in the bunker, and I want them. But that damn news crew had better not paw around in my stuff, or I will figure out some way to make them pay. We get to the bunker, ride the horses into the stable, and Ben commands, Stacy, get the horses saddled up while I grab a bunch of gear. I remind him, Ben, make sure you grab my pack. I have things in there I need. The noises in the woods are louder than ever when Ben replies, affirmative. Let me know when the noises stop, because we will need to leave quickly after it gets quiet. I begin to saddle Patches and bite my lip to keep from laughing at Bo. He's trying to saddle himself, and it's funny as hell. Present, Samantha, in the woods. I sure as hell don't know what all the noise is. It sounds like some animal is hurt or in a big fight. We'd heard the banditos accidentally released all the zoo animals they found when they took over towns, but I didn't believe that because we came across zoos where the animals had been shot, roasted, and eaten. Oh boy, did America get upset with that report. My reporter's instinct told me somehow the animals escaped. Perhaps they were smart enough to do it themselves, or perhaps they killed the banditos before they were killed. It didn't matter. If we could document wild animals on the loose in Texas, it would be a great news story. I want to dash headlong after the story, when Emmanuel, Frank's brother, who is pushing his all-terrain wheelchair, says, Sam, let the team get there first because we don't know what is happening. I grin and answer, I big brother. Frank laughs and declares, Sam, we're not Navy. I laugh. If you're not Navy, then why do you like my naval base so much? I giggle as my husband and big brother blush. I love making big, strong soldiers blush. When we are almost to the noise, there's a bunch of shooting and Emmanuel cautions, everybody down on the ground. The shooting stops, the noise stops, but I know better than to get up until Emmanuel orders it. We hear footsteps approaching and ready our weapons. Then we hear the passphrase. One of the team runs up, looks at me and states, I don't know if you should see what we just saw. I realize he looks more than a little sick, and he's a battle-hardened soldier. So I question, is it really that bad? He nods his head. I've never seen anything like it in my whole life. It made all of us a little sick. I think it can't be that bad. Besides, I am a reporter, and it's my job to report. I reply, well, as much as I may not like it. I'm still a reporter, and I have to do my job. He shakes his head and says, don't say you haven't been warned. Present, Stacy, at the bunker. I get Patches saddled in record time, start on Bo, and praise him. Yes, you're a good horse for trying to help, but let me finish. Then I hear what sounds like gunfire, then all the noises stop. I yell, Ben, things have become quiet. He runs into the stable, drops 2 huge saddlebags on the ground, and says, put this one on Bo because it's the heaviest. I'll be right back with the rest of our things. I can barely pick up Bo's saddlebags and get them behind his saddle. He grunts when they hit his back, and I say, sorry about that. You can blame Ben. He nickers and nods his head. Then I move over, and thank God that Patch's bags are lighter. I put them behind her saddle. She turns and gives me a look that I can only describe as angry. I apologize, sorry Patches, I think Ben loaded these heavily because we don't have Knacker to help. She reaches back, bites at the saddlebags, and I say, hey, leave those alone. I don't like this any better than you do. I'm finished, and decide to head into the bunker to help Ben. Present, Ben, at the bunker. It was a good thing that John had the supplies all set up to go, and even packed in the saddlebags. All I had to do was make sure to load enough ammo for all our weapons. With all these damn zoo animals on the loose, we needed firepower. Plus, I was lucky as hell, and found some det cord and caps to detonate it. I dropped the saddlebags with Stacy and head back in for our packs, more rifles and pistols. Then I have one final thing to do. I really hate to do this, but it's also really necessary. Stacy runs in and says, Ben, I hope the horses can carry us. Those saddlebags are really heavy. I reply, they only need to be able to carry us far enough to discourage this most sad team from following us. Then we can walk them. She runs over to her pack and swears, those scumsuckers messed up my pack. I laugh, Stacy, your pack is always a mess, so how can you tell? She bitches, yeah, it may be a mess, but it's my mess and I know where everything is. I grab the rest of the stuff and say, let's move it. We head to the stable. I look at the horses and remark, Stacy, you did a great job. Now take the horses outside while I take care of one more thing. She leads the horses outside. I head back and pull the pin on a couple WP grenades and toss them into the bunker. Then I run, jump up on Bo, look around, and start to laugh. Stacy asks, Ben, what's so funny? I point to the news van and say, they left the van unguarded. She grins and says, "Ben, now I can get even for the messing up my pack." I watch her in amazement and decide I don't ever want her really pissed at me. Present, Samantha, in the woods. We reach the scene, which is gruesome beyond belief. I get a report from the rest of the team as to what they saw, stagger to the side, puke my guts out, and say, "We will need to tape this and let the station edit it, because there are things here that can't be shown on TV." I nod to Frank. He rolls the camera, and I say, "Greetings, America. This is Samantha Cohen reporting from Texas. Tonight we have a bizarre news story which some might find offensive and will not be suitable for younger children. In what only can be described as twisted justice, the alleged murderer of Stacy Summers' parents was just brutally attacked and killed by a roving gang of guerrillas. Now that's the animal, not guerrilla fighters. His name was Guy Fawkes, and he was from Australia. What he was doing in America nobody knows, but we're sure he's the murderer of the Summers because he was in possession of their missing Mercedes, which it appears the guerrillas also destroyed." Frank pans the camera to the overturned and destroyed Mercedes, and I continue. "And it's twisted justice because the first of the news team on the scene described a large male gorilla who was sexually abusing the corpse. Further examination leads us to believe that Guy Fawkes was initially alive when the guerrillas began their rampage and died from massive internal injuries. This seems to lend credence." I stop. Frank looks at me and says, "Sam, what's wrong?" I point and say, "I see smoke." "Isn't that in the direction of the bunker?" Emmanuel shouts, "Damn, you're right." Quick to the bunker. We race toward the bunker. Flashback, Major M, command and control. Damn, there was a reason brass had ass in it, because that's where most of them kept their heads. A solid reminder not to let that happen to me. I still couldn't believe it. The old man called me into his office, tore into me for losing the sergeants, as if that was my fault, and then hit me with my next mission, an infiltration to gather intel on Baskerville. How he even knew our code name for the new vehicle was beyond me, but you could bet I'd find out. And to make matters worse, I wasn't going alone. Scumsucker was tagging along. As a major, I figured I was too valuable for a mission like this. I loved field work, but after the chaos the sergeant stirred up in this country, it was the last place I wanted to be. And then there was Baskerville. The damn thing had already taken out 4 hind choppers and even jumped a canyon. Now I was supposed to figure out a way to stop it? Fat chance. I just hoped to stay the hell out of its way. So I'm back here in my CNC setting things up and making sure I'm going to have a shitload of support with me. I've seen what that damn vehicle can do, and I know better than to take it on alone. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. Mira and I departed post-haste, pursuing our tracks, made when we fled for our lives from Baskerville, to regain the prisoners and possibly apprehend the Harlequins. I observed after the scare Baskerville gave us that once again my sister's essay was appropriate for the task at hand. I oculated smoke in the direction of our locomotion and realized that Baskerville might have not only exhaustively pursued us, it might have made us misappropriate the opportunity to confront the Harlequins. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. After Ben doctored my first manifold burrito with too much hot sauce, I decided it's time to get even and offer, "Ben, why don't you let me make the burritos this time, so you can take a rest?" He smiled at me and agreed, "Sure, Jack, knock yourself out." Yeah. Let's see how he likes his next burrito. Flashback, Ben, undisclosed location. Jack was being overly helpful. Now that smacks of one of his pranks, but he's too damn obvious. He's going to doctor the hell out of my burrito with the hot sauce. That's all right. Just wait, because 2 could play these games. Flashback, Major M, in transit. I made sure to call my Mossad contacts right before I left for that godforsaken country, so they could call off the Sedankina bitches, and I hoped like hell this time they would listen. I know it's not kind to speak ill of the dead, but that damn Sergeant Blaine made a royal cluster shit out of everything. Not only did he infect Miranda Sedankina with his insubordination, his antics got the old man fired up, and I was the poor scumsucker paying the price. Oh well, I might as well catch some shut-eye on this long flight. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. Just as I surmised earlier, we arrived at the scene of what remained of the presidential palace and oculated mass carnage. The prisoners took no captives and bodies littered the landscape. We arrested our motorcycles, pulled off our cranial carapaces, and I stated, "Mira, once again we have arrived after the Harlequins have departed." Mira responded, "Yes, Ira. Either they were never here or fled the scene." I questioned, "Marinka, have you deduced some new factoid?" She smiled and stated, "Ira, you accuse me of being distracted. However, have you not noticed that in the previous attack perpetrated by the Harlequins on a presidential palace, they did not purposefully kill or maim anyone? So, oculate the difference for this location." I performed the sisterly request and remarked, "AI. Mira, you are indeed correct. I needed to analyze why I did not discover this factoid. However, I heard a noise and stated, Mira, I perceive a possible survivor we can interrogate. We then traversed our motorcycles closer to the incapacitated survivor. I oculated and stated the obvious. Mira, he is one of the prisoners. Mira finished, and will provide valuable clues of the Harlequins. Unfortunately, the ex-prisoner was too damaged to survive our interrogation. He expired right after he released a most amazing factoid. I looked at my sister and notated the death mask on her face, and stated, Mira, it would appear. She finished my statement, that the Harlequins and Baskerville are one and the same. I continued, yes, we have been duped. Mira finished again. Then she added her new, since Sergeant Blaine, expository, fecal matter. Mira ordered, Ira, we must locate a place of safety where we can devise a new strategy to not only terminate the Harlequins, but to capture Baskerville. We proceed to minutely study the maps when the alert of an incoming message interrupted our deliberations. I wisely decided to screen all the messages in hopes they would not further infuriate Mira. I was fully thankful I performed this task after I oculated the message. I walked back to Mira, and she stated, Ira, this locale might suffice. What is your opinion, and was there anything important contained in the message? I smiled at Mira and falsified my response. Mira, the location is excellent, and there is nothing in the message which concerns you. Huh? My sister Ira just falsified her report to me, which only happens when she possesses a concern for my being well. I will need to oculate the message upon our arrival at the place of safety. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. Ben swore, damn it all. Jack handed me the 17mm wrench. I handed him the wrench and commented, it's a good thing you decided to check the Frankenmonster. Otherwise we'd be screwed. Ben beat on something with a hammer and swore, we would have been more than screwed. We would have been stranded. I questioned, perhaps I will use this time to contact the Major. I never got a chance to finish. Ben interrupted, Jack, if you do that I will use this damn hammer to beat some sense into you. Screw the Major. Now why don't you go and do what you do best? I questioned, what the hell is that? He insulted me, sleep of course. I yelled, well screw you too. Then I left. But Ben's idea did have some merit to it. Flashback, Ben, undisclosed location. Jack was being an insistent old fart on contacting the Major, and I knew why. He was thinking with his little head, not his big head. The randy old goat had visions of Russian women dancing nude before his eyes, in bed, and that clouded his objectivity. The less the Major knew about us right now, the better. I knew by taking out the 4 hinds, and then disappearing we got his attention. Then outrunning Mira and Ira's motorcycles added to it. With the Major being a major prick, I figured it was about time he caught some shit, and from my personal run-ins with the old man, I was sure he was pissed enough to dish some out. Besides, Mira was here and, damn it all, that hurt. Flashback, Jack, undisclosed location. Ben stopped his banging and started swearing up a bluer streak than before. I jumped up, ran over and asked, are you okay? He spit. Hell no, I just beat the hell out of my finger and I think I broke it. I replied, what? I sure as hell hope it's not your trigger hand. He crawled out from under the Frankenmonster and said, no, but it is my guitar playing hand. He held out his left hand and continued, what do you think? I touched his second finger and he winced. I wiggled it some and said, no, it's not broken, but you really screwed it up and we should probably immobilize it. Let me get the medkit. I walk away to get the medkit and asked, so what the hell were you thinking about? He obviously lied. Nothing, Jack, the hammer slipped. Yeah, the hammer slipped my butt. I knew you were thinking of Mira. His finger wasn't too bad. I was mainly immobilizing it to remind him to keep his mind on the task at hand. I changed the subject. So how are the repairs coming? He answered, Jack, we tore up the Franken truck pretty badly, and I'm doing the best I can. But we might be down a couple days. Now that sounded like a familiar quote. Shit, the little scumsucker. I questioned, Ben, are those normal days or Scotty from Star Trek days? He laughed and admitted, damn Jack, you're getting smarter as you get older. Yeah, they are Scotty days. I began working on his finger and shot back. Well, Ben, we've been together long enough. I know if it's not critical you like to exaggerate the timeline to fix things, so I would praise you when you're done sooner, just like Scotty did to Kirk. He grinned at me and dropped the hammer. So then that would make you a captain. SIR. Damn, he knew how much I hated being called sir. However, he forgot one important fact. I grinned and replied, well, you can SIR yourself too because Scotty was also an officer. When I was finished with his finger, he put up his hand and said, thanks, Jack. Now I don't even need to straighten my finger to flip you off. I'm almost done with the Franken truck, but I want to take a down day when I finish. I questioned why. He said, well, you're beginning to smell like an old goat again, SIR. Now a bath did sound like a good idea, but I still flipped him off for the sir comment and asked, are we going to find another oasis? He stated, not this time. Flashback, Ira and Mira, undisclosed location. Mira swore, fecal matter. Irinka, I am going to flagellate your posterior. I defended my assets. Marinka, it was for your own being well. She countered, Ira, I am no longer behaving as a childish female, and withholding mission-critical information from me endangers our mission. I angered, then stop behaving like a childish female Saluki, and I will freely share intelligence with you. Yes, somehow Mira had ascertained the message content even though I assumed I terminated it. So she knew Major M was arriving, and we were ordered to meet and assist him. Mira queried, what did you just call me? Then she attacked me. In the sight of Hind, perhaps not sharing intelligence with her was a grievous miscalculation. I did not ascertain her extreme displeasure in Major M, and we now had a grave situation which might end with the Major's grave. Flashback, Major M, undisclosed location. Damn it all. Now I understood why the SGTS hated it here so much. The sand swirled everywhere, got into my nose, and I sneezed again. This place wasn't fit for human beings. If it wasn't for the oil, we wouldn't even be here. But I had a more pressing matter. I received a message from my Mossad friends who told me I was to meet with the Sedankina bitches and they were to follow my orders? Like hell that's going to happen. Especially not after what I had done to Miranda. From the little I knew about them, they liked to hold a grudge, and when they did it was usually resolved by the termination of the other party. No, I was going to stay the hell away from them. I looked at my team and ordered, okay, let's set up our FBO. Present Mira, at DI. Alexei and I acquire a vehicle and traverse the distance to Denver International Airport main terminal. When we arrest our progress in a loading zone and exit the vehicle, a local constable harasses us. Excuse me, ma'am, you can't leave that car here, or I will have to tow it. I wave my hand at him, continue walking and reply, do as you wish. He loudly enunciates additionally at me as we continue into the terminal, and Alexei remarks, my sister Mira, please do not be angry with me. But perhaps next time it would be wise for me to operate the vehicle. I look at him, detect the fear in his eyes and expound, Alexei, for-wheel vehicular operation is not a suit of strong for me, so, if you can perform the action with greater competency, I would be appreciative. Alexei corrects, my sister you mean strong suit. Do not worry, I am an excellent driver and have one of the highest scores in Grand Theft Auto. I reply, thank you my brother. Vehicular operation is an annoyance for me, and I am not sure what this Grand Theft Auto is. With your diplomatic passport, they cannot prohibit you from serving as my chauffeur. However, I do feel the need for you to attend a variety of defensive and offensive vehicular operation courses. He grinned. Will I be able to terminate a vehicle in these courses? I stop, ponder for a moment, and respond. My brother, I would worry for your safety if you purposefully terminated a vehicle, so I think that I will prohibit. His face mimics the facade of a forlorn puppy dog. I almost recant my decision. Then the local constable runs in with others, gestures at me, and announces, there she is. Get her. Alexei tenses, but I instruct, remain tranquil Alexei. Do not resist, but instead learn. They surround me like cops of Keystone as the local constable accuses, that vehicle you parked was stolen. I smile at him and state, no sir, you are incorrect. It was merely temporarily acquired. They surround us more closely and invade our personal perimeter while they place their hands on us, and even restrain us with handcuffs. I loudly demand, I request to see the local director of Homeland Security. They reveal their mirth, and the primary constable threatens, like hell, you're going directly to jail. Present, Liz, at the restaurant. Now that everyone, other than Mira and Alexei, is here I say, okay, listen everyone. We need to have a memorial service for Myra's sister Ira as soon as possible. I can tell she needs it for closure. Jens, I was thinking we would get a headstone, and if you don't mind, put it on your land at the cabin. Jens thinks for a couple minutes and says, Liz, I didn't know she had a twin sister. And if it was just for her, I'd say hell no. But you're like my sister, so I think it's fine as long as I don't have to see it every day. Jack says, Jens, that's one of the nicest things you've ever done for someone. I met both of them together, and you might not know it, but just as Ira gave her life to save Liz and everyone in her group, she also once saved Ben's life. I pull out my phone to order the headstone as the conversation continues around the table. Present, Jens, at the restaurant. I look at Jack in wonder and request, I knew about you meeting both of them at the spy school, but I didn't know about Iris saving my Ben's life. Please tell me more. Jack tells me about how the scumsuckers at the spy school took and tortured my Ben and how Ira went into the building where Ben was being held, kicked everyone's, but without killing anyone, and then brought my Ben out safely. I was highly impressed with Ira's skill and realized how lucky I might have been when I attacked Mira. Everything was fine until he mentioned. Then Ira and Mira slept on each side of him to warm him in the hospital. Then I guess when Ben woke up he squeezed their butts which. I interrupt, they did what? And Ben did what? Present, Jack, at the restaurant. Oh screw me, was that a mistake? I try to backpedal. Well, the hospital needed some way to keep Ben warm. Jens interrupts. They didn't have warming blankets? I counter. Yes, they had warming blankets, but they felt. Jens said, Jack, stop your lying. For once I was happy as hell when Ivan realized Jens was upset at me and began to cry. Present. Liz, at the restaurant. I finish my call. Things are set up and the headstone will be delivered ASAP, so we can take it with us. I can immediately tell Jens is upset about something, so I ask, Jens, what's wrong? She grumps. Did you know Mira and her sister Ira slept on each side of Ben to warm him up, then he squeezed their butts? I shake my head and say, Jens, I have no idea what you're talking about, but get off your high horse and think about it. Who did Ben finally end up with? She thinks for a moment, then smiles and says, me, of course. He even met my parents. I nod my head. That's right, because I was there. Now whose life did he save on that one mission? She grins mine. Yes, when I got appendicitis, he was going to die to save me. Then Tom opens his big fat mouth. Present, Tom, at the restaurant. Well, this sounds like too much fun to resist, so I say, perhaps I'm wrong. But it seems like Ben's made saving people his life mission. Isn't that how he ended up with his 2 wives? Liz gives me a dirty look. I smile innocently, then I get the surprise of my life when Maria, who's sitting next to me. Present, Linus, at the restaurant. Maria leans over and whispers something to Tom. He turns white and quickly retreats. Jennifer, I'm sorry for trying to get you upset. But, then he stops in mid-sentence. Jens says, Tom, like I said before, you're not going to get my goat. Jack interrupts. Hell yes, Ben did make it his life story to save people. He saved my life I don't know how many times. In fact, if I recall, didn't he even save your life once, Tom? Tom quietly replies, yeah, our paths have crossed once or twice. Now this was news to me, and I needed to find out more about this later, but first I needed to know what the hell Maria said to Tom. It's just not like him to apologize. I lean over and whisper, Maria, just what did you say to Tom? She grins at me and answers, I had my knife against his crotch and told him if he wanted to keep his family jewels, he'd better apologize to my princess boss. I started laughing. Tom looks at me and demands, what's so damn funny? I decide that discretion is probably the best course of action here, so I reveal, oh, Maria just told me a joke. Would you like to hear it? Tom gives me a dirty look and Jens says, Linus, you're the worst comedian in the world, so please spare us the pain. My Maria adds, I second that. The whole table laughs. Then Matt and Jim walk in and Matt says, I've got bad news. Present, Jens, at the restaurant. I look at Matt and Jim and ask, oh great. What's happened now? Matt explains, near as we can tell, Mira stole a car, drove to the main terminal, left the car in a loading zone, and now the police have her and Alexei in custody. I look at everyone and think, this is all we need. No, what we really need is a plan to get everyone the hell out of DA. I start to open my mouth when Liz starts to laugh. We all look at her like she's crazy until she offers, guys, I've been around Mira enough to know this has to be some sort of tactical plan. Matt and Jim, pull up a chair and have some food. Jim looks at Tom and complains, thanks a hell of a lot for letting us know you'd left and come back here. Tom bristles, and I can tell it's going to be one more non-productive fight. I decide it's time for me to be the alpha bitch in this pack of mongrels, so I stand up and announce, okay everyone, I want to hear from each of you who's the boss here. And if I get the wrong answer from anyone, we're going outside to settle this once and for all. Maria pipes right up, Jens, you're my boss. Liz says, Jens, you're my BFF, so I will do what you say. Matt and Jim add, you sign our checks. Jack says, hell, I've said it before. I'm all in until we find Ben, then I want to help kick his butt. Linus seconds, hell yes, I want to kick his butt too. I look at Tom. He grins and says, what the hell? It's not like I can do a mission right now with half my team down. And I'd sure like to see these fools try to kick Ben's butt. Maria adds, well, you can be sure he's going to get his butt kicked. Tom starts to laugh, then I slam my fist on the table and order, that's enough talk about kicking Ben's butt. If there's any butt kicking to do, I'm the one that's going to do it. Now that we all know I'm the boss, I'm tired of sitting on my butt doing nothing, so here's the plan. Present, Liz, at the restaurant. Finally, the old Jens is back, and she's taken control. She orders, Matt, Jim, Tom, and Linus. Ben and that Stacy Summers bitch are in Texas. Liz's new ace reporter uncovered the bunker they were staying in. Then Liz's cell lost the call, so we don't know what the hell's going on. Get your butts down to Texas and find him. Tom says, it's going to take more than 4 of us to hogtie him and bring him back to you. Jens smiles, no, you misunderstood. I don't want you to do anything other than observe and follow him. If you attempt to capture him, it will only make things worse and push him further away. Do you think you can watch him without him detecting you? Jack says, Jens, the only one I would trust to get close to Ben is Linus because he was a SEAL. And even then, if he makes one mistake, Ben will spot him. I would recommend that the 4 of them do long-range surveillance. Jens looks at Jack and agrees. Okay, Jack, then your job is to coordinate their surveillance techniques because, and this is our utmost priority, we don't want Ben to feel threatened. Tom questions, why the hell not? Jens explains, right now it's part of Ben's programming to resist to the death any attempt to capture him. If he senses he's being watched, he will just take off and disappear again. Tom continues, so how do you fix this? Jens replies, well, that's my job, and with another of Ben's old friends, we'll figure it out. Jack questions, the former Captain M? Yes, Captain M. Something happened that made him lose rank. Jens nods her head, that's right. He broke Ben, and he's going to help me fix him. Jens looks at Maria, and Maria responds, yes, Jens, your wish is my command. She smiles at Maria and says, sorry to separate you and Linus, but I need you right now, and by the way, you've just received a raise, and that goes for all of you. I smile at Jens and say, and you can afford it seeing as our people recovered all the gold on the jet that went down with us. So what am I doing? She smiles at me. Liz, you're our liaison to the Truth Network. Plus, I want your expertise as a news hound to ferret out any information about Ben and the bitch he's traveling with. And you're not going to like this one. I want you to help me figure out what to do with Ben's 2 girls. I laugh. You mean to keep you from killing them? Jens laughs and admits, yeah. If what I hear is true, that's probably going to be a big part of it. Now, since this is all settled, let's finish lunch and wait for Mira, the girls, and Byron to show up. Present, Mira, at DI. The constable that arrests us begins to peruse through my purse. He withdraws a leather article, inspects the bag digitally, and demands, what the hell is this? It feels like a gun. I smile evilly at him and declare, that, sir, is a diplomatic pouch which you may not open. If you further search my purse, you will discover the diplomatic passports for me, my son Alexei, and my 2 daughters now in custody of Homeland Security. Now I again demand to see the Director of Homeland Security. The constable's face whitens as he meekly asks, you have diplomatic passports? I smirk in annoyance and respond, yes, sir. If you had asked before taking us into custody, I would have informed you of that factoid. However, with our abduction and your overzealous police brutality, it has now become an international incident which my government will aggressively investigate. He exclaims with the primary phrase entering his minimal cranial capacity, shit. I scold, sir, please do not curse in front of my son. Now I demand to either see the Director of Homeland Security who is currently detaining my 2 daughters and my husband, or I must contact my ambassador for assistance with this grievous insult. Post-haste our handcuffs are removed, and we are escorted to view the Director of Homeland Security. As we are admitted into his office, I immediately begin my verbose assault. Sir, is it the policy of this country to detain diplomats from other countries? He replies, I am sorry, ma'am. I wish to apologize for what the police did to you. I grin menacingly and elucidate. Sir, I am not referring to our brutal mistreatment during our detainment. I am referring to the detention of my 2 daughters and my husband. I slide the diplomatic passports for Zarika and Yasmin across his desk and demand, you will bring them to me post-haste, so I might first punish them for their foolishness. Then I will interrogate them to discern the level of their mistreatment before my government files a formal complaint. He stammers, but ma'am, please be reasonable. We didn't know who they were. I interrupt, only because in your incompetence no one endeavored to acquire an interpreter for them. I am certain they are both emotionally demolished by the cruel mistreatment shown them by your government. You will bring them and my husband here, post-haste. He utilizes a phone, initiates a call, and we sit and wait. Present, Zarika and Yasmin at DI. Zarika, some men come and take us out of our little prison. However, they behave much differently than when they brought us into this little prison. They are less rough with us and seem sad. Yasmin asks, Zarika, do you think they are taking us before a firing squad? I do not know how she comes up with so many crazy ideas, but decide this one might be fun, so I reply, yes, Yasmin. I am sure that's what they are doing, and it's all your fault for taking that sandwich and then insulting them. You know how violent Americans are. She begins to cry. The men try to comfort her, and I secretly smile. But I also wonder where we are going. Present, Byron, at DI. The damn Homeland Security agent comes in and surprises the hell out of me when he begins to apologize. Sir, I want to apologize to you for detaining you and your daughters. Your wife is here and has informed us of our errors. Well, I wasn't born yesterday, and I figure out immediately someone is running a scam on them. So I stand up and complain. Hell yes, it's a huge damn mistake. And I would have told you of your mistake if you gave me half a chance. The agent complained, but you stopped talking to us. I countered, of course, but only because I refused to talk to idiots. Now get me the hell out of here, bring my daughters to me, and take us to see my wife. He replies, Sir, your daughters are already with your wife, and I'd be happy to accompany to you meet your wife. We walk down the hallway. He opens the door, and I'm surprised as hell when I walk in and see Mira. I had expected Liz or Jennifer. Her, the 2 little bitches and a boy all run up to me, and start yelling, Papa. I play along, give them each a big hug, then turn my attention to Mira. I grab her, give her a hell of a kiss, with tongue, let my hands wander down and pinch her firm, but hey, I figure I might never get this chance again, so I'm going for it. She jumps, pulls away, slaps me a bit harder than I anticipated, and complains, honey, not in front of the children and these men. I look at the men and state, if you don't have any further complaints, we are leaving. The man behind the desk attempts to pander to us. No, sir. In fact, we have a car waiting to return you to the location your wife directed. When we get in the car, Mira leans over and whispers, if you ever molest me in that manner again, I will make you yearn for instant termination. I sit back and think that you can't fault a man for trying. Present, Liz, at the restaurant. My phone rings. I look and determine it's Mira, so I shush everyone, answer the phone and question her. Mira, where are you? She responds, Ms. Morgan, my mission is accomplished. We are returning to our previous location, and I would advise we leave Denver International Airport post-haste. Then she hangs up the phone. I look at everyone and announce, Myra is coming back with everyone and thinks it's wise that we leave immediately. Matt complains, hey, I'm still eating. Jim adds, yeah, this is only my second helping. Jens says, you two eat more food than anyone I've ever known. Just take what's left in a doggy bag, because I would agree with Mira. The sooner we leave Denver, the better. Maria, please make the arrangements. I can't wait to get home. I could tell by the way Jens said home that it was going to be a bittersweet homecoming for her. I knew she dreamed of the day when her homecoming would be final, and with her one true love, Ben. Present, Liz, at the cabin. For once things worked out for our crew, and the trip to the cabin was uneventful, but incredibly beautiful. It had been years since I'd been in the mountains of Colorado, and I was kicking myself in the butt for not returning sooner. I made sure the girls rode in another car, much to Byron's and Tom's dislike, so Jens and I could work out the arrangements for Ira's service. Jens was more than amicable since she learned Ira saved Ben's life. I hold and squeeze Bernie's hand as we drive up and say, Bernie, this is the closest place to heaven I can think of. Bernie answers, yeah, Liz, if I had a place like this, I would never leave. How could Ben leave all this? It's as if he read my mind, I reply. From what I've heard, Ben's dad was a real son of a bitch and abused him constantly. So now this place is just a bitter reminder of those times. We exit the car caravan in front of a large, lovely, slightly rustic cabin nestled in the trees. The front of the cabin opens onto the valley and has a long view of the road leading in. The back of the cabin abuts a steep mountain. Mira exclaims, after oculating the mountains on our trip here, I finally understand. America truly is the home of the free and the land of the brave. Alexi corrects her, my sister, you mean land of the free and home of the brave. And yes, the scenery is most spectacular. I notice that even the two little bitches stand in awe of what they are seeing and have seen. I know now's the perfect time, so I announce, Mira, we are all glad that you love this place so much because Jens and I have decided, with your consent, this is the place that we would like to hold the memorial service for Ira. And Jens amazes me when she adds, and Mira, I would like to let you know you and Alexi will always be welcome here. I look at Mira and see a few tears in her eyes as she answers, Ms. Morgan and Ms. Donaldson, your offer is too kind because my sister Ira would have loved to oculate this location. However, we are not prepared for the service. I smile at Mira and nod to Bernie. He and Tom bring out the white marble headstone, and I say, Mira, we are prepared now, and we need to do this for you so you and Alexi can achieve some closure. I hope the memorial plaque meets with your approval. Both Mira and Alexi break down in tears. Mira nods her head, tries to speak, but can't. We walk as a group to a nice shady place under a big pine tree. I ask, Mira, is this location suitable? She continues to cry and again nods her head. The guys place the memorial plaque. We all gather around. I look at everyone and begin to recite. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. I am 1,000 winds that blow. I am the diamond glint on snow. I am the sunlight on ripened grain. I am the gentle autumn rain. When you wake in the morning hush. I am the swift, uplifting rush of quiet birds in circling flight. I am the soft starlight at night. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I am not there. I do not sleep. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I am not there. I did not die. I can barely finish, then I begin to cry. I glance around, and there's not a dry eye in the group. Even Tom is wiping his eyes. Mira pulls herself together, looks at all of us, and says, Present, Mira, at the cabin. Ms. Morgan and Ms. Donaldson have performed the most amazing act, and I will be forever indebted to them. They have presented me what I have needed most, an end to my life with my twin sister Irina, who I will always hold dear in my heart, and the opportunity to start life anew. Hopefully, I will commence with the children I wish to conceive. I arrest the eyes of each individual and gratefully acknowledge, Thank you, my family and friends, for this honoring of my sister, and thank you, Ms. Morgan, for your words. Yes, my sister Ira is not truly terminated. She will continue to live in all our hearts. Now, if you would not mind, I would like some time alone with the monument to my sister. They all smile, nod, and quietly leave me as I wished. I lie on the ground, beside my sister's memorial, stroke it, and remember her, all the times we had together, and slowly drift off to sleep. I awaken sometime later. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.